Envision studying your entire life to become a mage only to fall short due to your peasant status. But having been slain and reincarnated, you're given the title of the seventh prince in a prestigious royal family. Now, with all the time and resources in the world, you can put your previous lives' knowledge to the test and let your imagination run wild in this new magical world. The series starts with our MC, kicked to the ground and mocked by noble mages, scoffing at our MC's commoner status. Giving our MC a chance. A soul mage steps up, offering our MC a chance to strike them down, but sadly our MC can only muster up a small ball of magic. Our MC recounts how magic is solely defined by which lineage one is born into, and no matter how hard someone works, they can never surpass those born into the correct family. The mage begins casting a spell of their own, instantly incinerating our MC. But our MC can't help but feel joy finally getting to experience what top-tier magic feels like. As a final wish, our MC wishes to be given more time to learn magic. But as his body finally disperses, our MC wakes up in front of several maids, all adoring him. Quickly preparing a spell to defend himself, our MC blasts a massive hole in the castle he's in, all whilst the townsfolk celebrate the birth of the seventh prince of the Saloon Kingdom. Hence our MC's new name is Lloyd. Several years later, the maids of the castle look everywhere for Lloyd, but Lloyd is clearly avoiding any attention, running into several guards only to ask them to keep his current location a secret. As Lloyd runs off, the guards wonder if they should grow closer to Lloyd, remembering how Lloyd is the seventh born in their family, so Lloyd most likely won't inherit the throne. Apparently, shortly after Lloyd was born, he immediately began speaking, reading spell books, and even refusing breast milk, leading many to believe Lloyd was the reincarnation of William Bordeaux himself, the father of sorcery. Following Lloyd, he admits that he is unsure why he can remember his past life. But slipping past the maids, Lloyd makes it to the castle's library filled with hundreds of books. As Lloyd prepares to tuck into some books, Sylpha appears, heading outside only to begin training Lloyd with wooden swords. Taking a quick break, Lloyd wonders why he still needs to train his swordplay, but Sylpha states that it is proper etiquette for any noble to wield a sword, something Lloyd already knew having been with Sylpha for 3 years. Wanting to get the training over with, Lloyd and Sylpha take a stance, both dashing towards each other only to parry each other's slashes. Impressed that Lloyd has improved so much, Lloyd knows Sylpha is still holding back, barely able to keep up as Lloyd has been secretly casting a copy spell to mimic Sylpha's swordplay. Even still, due to Lloyd's smaller body and build, Sylpha begins driving Lloyd into a corner, pushing him back. Assessing the situation, Lloyd tests out another skill to compensate for his childlike body, suddenly increasing his strength along with levitating his body. Now able to completely match Sylpha's slashes and movement, Lloyd forces Sylpha to take things more seriously. But when Lloyd attempts to weave in a sneak attack, Sylpha catches Lloyd off guard. Having already known Lloyd was using magic, Sylpha trips Lloyd, only to disarm and smack him on the head, revealing Lloyd's levitation magic. On top of things, Sylpha points out that Lloyd's sword had been extended to give him better reach. But Sylpha can't help but be amazed that Lloyd was able to cast 2 spells at once, something court mages struggle to do. As Sylpha hugs Lloyd tight, Lloyd feels lucky that Sylpha didn't recognize his physical enhancement spell nor his copy spell, meaning Lloyd was actually casting 4 spells at once. That evening, Sylpha drags Lloyd with her to take a bath in the girls' bathing area, catching the attention of other maids as they tell Lloyd about a powerful demon sealed away in a book by the name of Grimoire, capable of wiping out their whole town. Sylpha adds that the grimoire is hidden in an underground library, but suddenly the girls find it adorable Lloyd is acting strange, all fighting over whose bed Lloyd will be sleeping in tonight. Sneaking off, Lloyd grows intrigued by this hidden library, sneaking around at night with a concealment spell. Easily sneaking past the guards in front of the forbidden library, Lloyd manages to break the powerful seal keeping people out, amazed to see the vast library still standing. Taking a look around, Lloyd begins reading some books, suddenly spotting books in particular begin to float around him. Unveiling its dragon head, the book introduces itself as Grimoire, asking Lloyd to unseal it. Knowing Grimoire is the monster Sylpha spoke about, Lloyd grows skeptical seeing Grimoire offer Lloyd some gold. Inspecting the gold, Lloyd says he knows Grimoire used creation magic along with some dust to make the gold, shocking Grimoire. Hearing that Lloyd plans on strengthening the seal on the demon, Grimoire gets terrified, stating that he has calmed down and no longer wants to wipe out the world, but Lloyd isn't buying it. Desperate, the demon offers to teach Lloyd some ancient magic, but that finally gets Lloyd to listen. Yearning to learn more, Lloyd instantly dispels Grimoire's current seal, surprising the demon as he fires off a devastating ancient spell at Lloyd, shredding the surrounding library. As the smoke clears, the demon is horrified to see Lloyd has erected a perfect barrier, a spell that consumes and nullifies Grimoire's volley of ancient spells. Getting hot and steamy, Lloyd reaches out to the remaining residue of ancient magic around his barrier, allowing the magic to tear away at his finger as Lloyd begs Grimoire to show him more. Pissed, Grimoire duplicates his head, beginning to cast a dual spell, but once again Lloyd's barrier perfectly blocks it. Inspecting the spell, Lloyd knows that such a spell can only be cast by demons with two mouths, but it's simply an advanced version of the same spell from earlier. Terrified at Lloyd's capabilities, Grimoire attempts to flee, but Lloyd has preemptively constructed barriers to keep anything else from being destroyed. Trapping the demon in one of his barriers, Lloyd lets loose a fire spell of his own, burning up the demon all whilst trapped in one of Lloyd's barriers. After a while, Lloyd realizes that Grimoire is still alive, asking Grimoire to wait as Lloyd reverts all the damage done to the library. Amazed by Lloyd's amazing feats, Grimoire decides to call Lloyd Master, but Lloyd is more curious as to why demons can't be slain with magic. Seeing as he is no match, Grimoire offers to be Lloyd's familiar, only to transform into a cuter form. Offering to sit inside Lloyd's pocket, Grimoire takes the chance to dive into Lloyd's mind, mortified by the dense mana a mere child has. Knowing that he stands no chance, Grimoire asks to be called Grim, choosing to obey Lloyd's every command for now. Several days later, a blonde boy suits up like normal, heading through the mansion only to enter the library. As Grim hides, Lloyd greets his big brother Albert, both heading outside to see Albert training. Casting a small spell, Albert knocks down his target flawlessly, something Lloyd expected since Albert is the second prince, both smart and physically capable. Seeing as Albert wants Lloyd to show off what he's got, Lloyd gladly obliges, but not wanting to draw too much attention, Lloyd states he'll only graze the targets. Firing off multiple spells, Lloyd successfully tricks the onlookers into believing Lloyd isn't as competent as Albert, but Lloyd is more curious about adding spin to each of his magic spells. With Albert briefly glaring at Lloyd, Albert asks that Lloyd use the training area as he likes, heading elsewhere with his party. Now alone, Lloyd gets excited, wanting to mimic Grim's dual incantation with two heads. Although Grim states that only demons can cast such a dual spell, Lloyd gets an idea, absorbing Grim into his palm to act like a second mouth. Impressed that Lloyd knew of such a technique, Grim and Lloyd begin chanting simultaneous spells, but Grim instantly gets freaked out not recognizing the spell Lloyd is chanting. Pausing, Grim demands to know what spell Lloyd is casting. Shocked to hear Lloyd was trying a spell stack, purposely mixing multiple spells to have them cast simultaneously. Hearing that Lloyd was trying to stack on 100 spells at once, Grim yells that only 2 to 3 spells can be stacked, otherwise the incantation would take too long. Understanding the situation, Lloyd takes over Grim's mouth, both taking a deep breath only for both mouths to begin chanting powerful spells. Seeing as Lloyd is folding together the essence of 2 magic types itself, Grim fears that the output would be devastating, watching as Lloyd incredibly unleashes a dual spell that ruptures into the skies. At the same time, Albert's retainers wonder why Albert spends so much time with a talentless boy like Lloyd, but Albert corrects them, stating that Lloyd had intentionally grazed all the targets the same way, believing that Lloyd will become a great sage one day. With one of the retainers refusing to believe so, we cut outside to see Lloyd has massacred the surrounding area, even tearing a hole through the stratosphere to reveal the constellations themselves. Briefly admiring the sky, Lloyd rushes to repair the clouds, returning the nighttime back to daytime. The next day, Grimm shows off the newspaper reporting on a mysterious phenomenon tearing apart the skies. But Lloyd is more fixated on the story on the back of the newspaper regarding adventurers conquering a dungeon and bringing back loot. Wanting to explore a dungeon of his own, Grimm struggles to hold back Lloyd, but Lloyd reassures Grimm that he's got everything figured out. Taking out an acorn, Lloyd casts a growth spell, creating an exact clone of himself that mimics his movements. Although Grimm is impressed, Lloyd is still worried, knowing that Silpha observes and tracks every bit of growth Lloyd experiences, meaning a mere dummy clone won't trick everyone. Getting an idea, Lloyd successfully manages to escape the castle undetected, asking Grimm if everything is fine on his end. It turns out that Lloyd had placed Grimm's soul into his clone's body, all whilst absorbing Grimm's body into his palm. Now that Lloyd's clone is more lifelike, Lloyd successfully tricks the maids, but Grimm wonders if he can cause a mess while Lloyd is gone. Sadly, since Lloyd can still communicate with Grimm, Lloyd thanks Grimm for all the help, flustering Grimm as he chooses to make Lloyd proud and not act up. Having flown far enough from the castle, Lloyd wonders where he can find a dungeon, suddenly halting as he spots a pink-haired girl fleeing from some monsters. In an instant, the girl sends one of the monsters flying, blitzing around only to begin dismantling the monsters, finishing off with an energy blast that shreds the monsters. Having witnessed everything, Lloyd recognizes the girl's techniques as a form of chi, something martial artists use. Having detected Lloyd, the girl calls Lloyd to show himself, but when Lloyd hesitates, the girl marks Lloyd as an enemy, rushing to his location. Not wanting to unveil his identity as the seventh prince, Lloyd manages to come up with a disguise, created using Lloyd's current looks and Albert's physical structure. Lloyd takes on the name of Robert, learning the girl's name is Tao, but Tao is revealed to have fallen for Lloyd's disguise. Having been locked away due to her training, Tao states that she'll make Robert her boyfriend no matter what, agreeing to accompany Lloyd into a nearby dungeon, since she is a B-ranked adventurer. Upon entering the dungeon, Tao begins carving through the monsters to impress Lloyd, but sadly Lloyd is more interested in the shiny ores nearby. Venturing deeper, the two strike up a conversation, learning that Tao had been traveling alone for a while. Whipping up a quick meal, Lloyd asks about Tao's chi techniques, surprising Tao since chi is very similar to mana, as chi circulates based on breathing techniques. Tao takes the chance to flirt with Lloyd, but gets surprised seeing Lloyd beginning to breathe strangely, realizing that Lloyd is trying to mimic her chi breathing. Warning Lloyd against it, Tao can't help but notice how stern Lloyd is about learning chi breathing, agreeing to teach Lloyd anything she knows, which earns her a smile from Lloyd. At the same time, Grimm can't help but giggle at how vast Lloyd's obsession with magic is, suddenly realizing that Silpha has appeared. Back in the dungeon, Tao shows off a chi blast, easily destroying the boss of the dungeon only to point Lloyd to the final treasure chest. Lloyd grows curious as to the overall build of the treasure chest itself, something Tao finds adorable. But on top of things, Tao notices Lloyd's breathing has grown stable, celebrating as Tao has finally found a perfect match that her family has to approve of. Finally opening up the chest, a mysterious blade appears, cutting down on Tao, but Lloyd manages to read the attack, pulling Tao aside. As a pool of darkness spreads from the chest, a lich appears, exciting Lloyd as a more worthy dungeon boss has arrived.